Welcome to the Leadership in Law podcast with host Marilyn Jenkins. Cut through the noise, get actionable insights and inspiring stories delivered straight to your ears. Your ultimate podcast for navigating the ever-changing world of law firm ownership. In each episode, we dive deep into the critical topics that matter most to you, from unlocking explosive growth to building a thriving team. We connect you with successful firm leaders and industry experts who share their proven strategies and hard-won wisdom. So, whether you're a seasoned leader or just starting your journey as a law firm owner, the Leadership in Law podcast is here to equip you with the knowledge and tools you need to build a successful and fulfilling legal practice.
Welcome to another episode of the Leadership in Law podcast. I'm your host, Marilyn Jenkins. Please join me in welcoming my guest, Brian Glass, to the show today. Brian is a trial lawyer, real estate investor, ultra runner, and devoted father of 3 boys. Brian is a trailblazer in the Virginia legal community. Among his results are a $4.2 million auto accident verdict, the largest in the state in 2022, a $3.4 million medical malpractice verdict in 2019, and the largest settlement involving the death of a child in Virginia history. An entrepreneur at heart, Brian grew the revenue of the auto accident section at Ben Glass Law by 383% in his first 4 years with the firm. He believes that shaping a law firm that aligns with your values, building a team, and a client base that you enjoy working with is critical to the success of any law firm. Raised in a family where the law was a way of life, Brian's journey as a lawyer was inspired by his father's dedication to the profession. Today, as a father himself, he seeks to emulate the values he learned from his father, prioritizing family above all else. Brian's vision is not just about amassing wealth, but unlocking financial freedom to create a life that allows him to spend quality time with his family and pursue his passion. I'm excited to have you here, Brian. Welcome.
Thank you. My EA sent you the entire hit list.
I know it covers all the bases, right?
Yes.
Except coaching program, and we're going to get onto that. But it's excellent. No, that's I love the vision of the work-life balance, which is so very important, and so many people just can't seem to get to that point.
Yeah. And I can't really figure out why that is. I think the thing is that you chase everybody else's priorities, right? And I kind of think of it like when you live in a dorm in college, there's always something going on every night. But what you don't realize is that not everybody is doing everything every night. And so when you look around, especially on social media or LinkedIn, where you're very active, it's like you just see people doing all kinds of things, and then you try to do everything all the time, all at once, and you just can't. So yeah, prioritizing what's important to you is the only way to achieve work-life balance or integrations, as I like to say.
Well, and true. One of the things I like to point out to people is social media is the highlight reel of that person's life, right?
Yep.
It's not the person's life.
Yep.
So it does make a difference, but it's also, I was having a conversation with someone the other day about, women trying to have it all, right? Well, you can't if it's in someone else's idea of all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. So let's talk about creating a vision for your law firm. So that obviously helps to set the stage and grow to where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
How do you work with that and the importance of having that vision?
I'm glad you asked that. So I'm fresh off our 2-day offsite annual retreat with my leadership team. We run on the EOS traction model, and we brought our implementer down to Spotsylvania, Virginia, at a lake house for 2 days in the middle of January, and it snowed. So we've just done this, and we go back and forth on whether numbers and revenue are important. And last year we did not set a revenue target on our 10-year vision for what we wanted to be. We said we want to dominate Northern Virginia in the personal injury space. We want to dominate the nation in long-term disability. We came around this year, and we're like, I'm not really sure that the nation, like, how would you even know if you were the dominant player in the nation? And then really, how would you know if you were the dominant player in personal injury, even in Northern Virginia? So we said,
who set those metrics?
Well, so we came back and we assigned some metrics to it this time so that you can kind of reverse engineer. If we're going to get there, what do we have to do now? So we set a revenue goal for 25 million. And I said on the morning of day 2, like, I don't know whether that's right or wrong or otherwise, right? So we did about 4 million last year. We'll do 5 this year. But setting the target at 25 versus 15 or 30 really doesn't materially, I don't think, make a difference in our lives, right? But it does change the way that you have to think about what you would be building, because you're building a different firm if you're trying to add 20% revenue year over year over year than you are if you're just trying to grow 5 or 7 and stay ahead of inflation. And so that was the forcing function for us. And then the really critical part is like, I don't want my life to get any harder. You know,
Right.
I really want to build a firm where I can operate in my zone of genius and only do the things that I'm really good at and excite me to show up on Monday. And so for me, that's like, I have to have now an associate or a team of associates who can independently handle case files, confidently talk to clients, do all the discovery, do the depositions, and let Brian come in and try a case every once in a while if he still wants to. So that's kind of how we got to the structure of what it is that we're trying to build. And the other thing that I say a lot is there's a number of different ways to build an 8-figure law firm. One of them is to spend $8 million on Google ads and PPC, right?
That's never do it.
Yeah. So, but that wouldn't be any better for you than if you ran a $5 million firm, and had a 40% net profit. So designing first for yourself, like, what is it that you want to show up and do every Monday? Right. And then building the structure of the firm that needs to be in place to support your dreams is the piece that most lawyers, I think, get wrong. And to your point about chasing everybody else's model of perfect, like, we go to conferences and you go to mastermind meetings and somebody says they have a bigger revenue number or a higher head count in your office. And you're like, I want that. Right. I just think that's the wrong way to go about it.
Yes, I agree. I think we've all been in the position where you're at those masterminds and you're like, is it imposter syndrome or is it jealousy? It's like, I want that. But then again, it's getting there, and no matter where you are, your problems, you're still going to have problems. So
Yeah.
which level of problems are you prepared to solve?
Yeah.
Right.
Your biggest problem is always your biggest problem. And so yeah, no matter your size, no matter your revenue number, no matter how much money you have in the bank, you're always going to have something that is a problem to solve, which is that's like life, and the building of a law firm is just the pursuit of a better set of problems, I think.
And you're balancing yourself around being able to be at your sporting events and being there for your family and your wife and being home for dinner every night.
Yeah. Yeah. So I coach youth soccer and baseball. So in the spring and in the fall, my team knows we don't schedule anything for Brian after 4 o'clock because he's leaving to go be on a field somewhere. So that's important to me. And then again, you just have to build the law firm that supports that kind of a structure.
Okay. And you just lay that out as a plan. And obviously then you're taking on more of a leadership role than a management or a daily work role. How did you transition into that? I mean, how did that, obviously you had a great example in your dad, but how did you personally transition to that in the firm?
Slowly. And 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So on our 3-year target in the law firm is that Brian is not doing any of the day-to-day legal work in the personal injury space. And if in 3 years that's going to be the case, then this year Brian can't take any new cases that come in. And so we got back on Thursday, and yesterday we got a call with a case, and I'm like, that's interesting. I'd like to be involved in that case. No, but I just set the goal for the team that I wasn't going to take on anything new. So it's like you have these things that you want, and then something shiny and attractive comes along. You, well, maybe I don't want it that bad.
Well, or maybe you just want to dip your toe in the water a little bit with that. But I mean, having that flexibility, I love that. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but being able to say, this is what I want. And so what do I need to do today to get that?
Yeah.
I think that made that makes it identifiable and attainable.
Yes, exactly. So, you asked, how have you gone about extracting yourself from that? It's hard. It's hard to go from the only lawyer in the practice, and I was for about a year, the only lawyer on the auto accident side of our practice, to bringing somebody else on. Then you have to build a portfolio that's large enough to support a second person, right? And then a second person and their paralegal. And then you have to build a portfolio that's large enough to support 2 lawyers, and you don't do anything, and you still need to be able to pay yourself to feed the family the dinner that you want to have every night. Right? It's hard, especially when and you've built a business, so you have the same I suspect you have the same problem. Like, you watch your people come across challenges and opportunities, and you actually know the answer and you know how to get there
Yes.
in 30 minutes, right? But if you never let somebody else struggle with finding the solution, then they're never going to find the solutions on their own. And so that's the thing, especially in a personal injury contingency fee practice for lawyers. Like, you have to let your lawyers solve problems, even if it means a case takes a little bit longer. Uh, Even if it means that money isn't in your operating account for 2 more months. Like, you have to help them, but also let them figure out how to do it on their own.
And I kind of go along with the fact that if my assistant would make the same decision I would make 80% of the time, that's success.
Yeah.
The other 20% you can train,
It's really,
right? That's why I would do it differently.
that's really easy to say.
Yeah. It's very
It
easy, and especially when you want to get something done and you can see, I can do that. And it's really, delegation is difficult when you know that you can, but you got to get over the thought of, I'm the only one that can do it right.
Yeah, yeah, it's really easy to say, and then you go, "Man, they messed this up, and I would have done that differently, and I would have gotten that result faster." So, and then the thing that I really struggle with is this balance between, like, knowing that's gonna happen, and then not just sticking my head in the sand and not managing or holding them accountable at all, right? Because you're right, at the end of the day, if they're doing it 80% of the way that I would do it, it's pretty good. Because there's probably, another quarter of that 80%, they're doing better than I would have done it, right? But
Yes.
I don't think, especially as you begin this journey, like, we don't give our team enough credit for that part of it. All we see is the things that we would have done better, faster, stronger, quicker, right? But they're also doing things better than you are. I think we don't recognize it as naturally.
I don't, yeah, I think once it's out of our skill division and it's going well, I think we forget to compliment that stuff. We forget to thank, and that's one of the things we do on our weekly team meeting is we always have wins and gratitude because you've got to remind yourself to do this stuff. And a lot of people their job satisfaction is being told they're doing a good job.
Yeah, that's right.
Makes a big difference. So then you've moved out of management for the most part, and now are in with the EOS. You're at the top. You're the visionary, and you're managing the leadership and the vision.
Yeah, kind of, sort of, right? So technically, I'm the implementer. My dad is the
Mhm.
visionary. He, no secret, he's like 67, so he's on a limited time period. There's no definite plans to retire, but at a certain point, it's Brian's got to elevate into the visionary role and start guiding where the firm is going. So I have a foot in both of those camps. What I've gotten out of the management of mostly is the management of the personal injury team. And
Mhm.
I'm managing and holding accountable more the rest of the leadership team now. So I manage the lawyer who runs the personal injury team more than I'm managing the paralegal who's operating in the team.
Okay. Okay. That certainly makes sense. Now, and you're also making time for your coaching program that you and your father do together, correct?
That's right. So we run a coaching and consulting and mastermind program for owners of solo and small law firms. We are, one of the only businesses in that space who's not also selling services. So look around, and most of our competitors are selling digital ads, do your websites, run your bookkeeping, things like that. We are really a philosophy and a mindset organization that can point you in the right direction for the problem that you have today. We've found it, I think, challenging to come up with a one size fits all path, because there is no one size fits all path, because so much of it is, what is your unique skill and ability that you really enjoy working on? Let's get you only in that quadrant, and let's get you outsourcing or hiring to all of the other quadrants of your life. So yeah, it's in our organization, it's called Great Legal Marketing. We run 2 mastermind groups. There's a group actually coming in tomorrow and on Friday, of lawyers who are running businesses larger than $1 million in revenue. They meet 4 times a year in our office in Fairfax, and then we have a big annual event that'll be in October, probably in the DC area this year.
Okay. Okay. And so basically, are you to be a good candidate for that? Say I'm a solo. Do I need to have like a year under my belt? Do I need to have a certain amount of revenue? Who is your ideal
Good question.
client to help them get to where they want to be?
We are really excellent at taking somebody who's doing somewhere around $500,000 in revenue per year and getting them over the $1 million mark. And to be honest, we kind of cap out at about 5 million because it requires marketing and advertising and structural expertise that like I haven't gotten there yet. And so I'm not willing to have somebody as a client and coach them on the thing that they need to do to get from 5 to 10 because I haven't done it. But if you come
I agree, because we always want a coach that's 1 or 2 steps beyond where we are. You've been there, done that. Yeah.
Yeah, you want a coach that's actually done the thing, right? They'll take directions from somebody who's never been to the destination. We're not great for a startup. You know, if you're doing $150,000 in revenue, doesn't make sense for you to pay me 10 of that because your greatest problem is how do I attract more and more and more clients? You don't have the problems that we like solving, which is how do you attract your best client? How do you surround yourself with great staff and how do you manage them appropriately?
And because you used EOS in your own firm, is that part of the thing that you're instilling in or offering to get into the firms to help them fill the seats with the right people?
No, that's kind of Mike Morse's program in Fireproof. And he, when we started EOS, I said, I would love to do this for lawyers. Like if I had the flexibility to travel around the country, I think I would be an excellent implementer for law firms. But with the young kids in my house, we're not doing
Yeah.
No, we're really good at holistically assessing in a half hour to an hour long conversation. Like, what's the thing that you should spend your next hour and your next dollar on? And it might be a referral to an EOS implementer, right? You might be at the size where that's what you need. It might be that you need to fix your website or fix your GMB profile. It might be that you need to hire so that you're not the one sorting the mail. We are really good in those one-on-one consultations of helping you decide what's the best use of your next dollar an hour.
I like that. Really narrow it down to what do I need to move the needle forward for myself. And you mentioned GMB. So that's one of the things that I really do a lot of teaching on. I think it's overlooked by a lot of attorneys, especially you do business locally. You need to use this free tool from Google. You've been doing a lot of work with your Google business profile as well, haven't you?
Yeah. So we've, because of our position, we get hit, and I don't say that arrogantly. But because we run this coaching organization, we have kind of a mouthpiece, a megaphone, for lack of a better word. We get pitched by all kinds of digital marketing agencies, and we have the ability to be in the rooms when they're teaching this stuff to the rest of our members more often than people who are not in these rooms at all. So we picked up little things along the way. And anytime I go to a conference or I'm in one of these meetings, I try to pick up 1 to 3 things. So things like adding the service areas, adding the product listing, really little things like your hours that you're open, right? Making sure that you check all the boxes about disability friendly and all this stuff that so many lawyers think just that's really, really low hanging fruit for a lot of solo and small.
Yeah, and they think that as long as they have reviews and their name, address, and phone number, they're good to go.
Yeah.
I still cringe every time I see one that says lawyer or law firm as a category.
Yeah. But even like the name, address, phone number thing. So one of the things that we did earlier this year was get a Yext account, which then helped us get our name, address, phone number to be the exact same across all of the listings that you pick up over the years, right? Your yellowpages.com listing is still out there somewhere. And,
Yeah.
and getting all of that aligned. So for us, the business name is Law Office of Benjamin W. Glass III, PC. So that listing is out there somewhere, right? We have a Ben Glass Law in places, and it was in other places we're calling ourselves Ben Glass Law, Auto Accident and Disability, and in some places, Virginia Auto Accident and Disability. So actually going out and getting a DBA for Ben Glass Law, Virginia Auto Accident and Disability lawyers, and then getting the Yext account to tell every other listing that we've ever had that this is what we're doing business as. And even having done that, Google still changes my name back like once every 10 days. Okay. So what, wait a minute. But we got now paid $10 to get the DBA done so that if it ever becomes a problem, we can hold up the piece of paper and say, no, this actually is the formal name. But all of those things are things that we've picked up from people just like you over the years as like just one little thing, and it make these incremental changes. And it's had a real serious increase in our appearance in the map pack and in the surrounding area.
Fantastic. And you were talking about hours of operation. I really emphasize, especially around any holiday time, make sure that you update it, because Google will actually list on there when someone does a search, update it in red, and it tells the searcher when the most recent update was. So if you haven't touched your Google Business Profile for 2 years, that's going to show, right? So you're doing products and services. That's great. Are you doing posts at all?
Yep. So the other thing that we have gotten a little bit better about, always getting a little bit better, we're creating videos on YouTube and then turning that video into a blog, turning that blog into 3 social media posts, including a GMB post and this is not my field of expertise, so if I screw this up, forgive me, but with a link that goes back to the website or goes out to somewhere else, right? So, but the principle is taking the one piece of content and figuring out 7 different ways to repurpose it. And my marketing director has an EA or virtual assistant in the Philippines who helps her with all of that.
Fantastic. I got a great idea earlier this week. I was on a show that when he published the show, he also published the AI summary, talking points, books listed, links listed, and a whole transcript as a LinkedIn article.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Well, very interesting. So, and then I think he put that on Medium as well. So he's publishing that as a written piece. And I hadn't even thought to do that with the transcript. So that's an interesting concept to add to it as well.
Yeah. Which is all about taking up the most real estate on Google when somebody looks for your name or for your topic, right?
Yeah.
Because all of those different URLs have the potential to show up above whatever else, if you're not taking up one of the 10 listings and somewhere in the map pack and maybe an LSA, you're just giving the opportunity for somebody else to be found when a client is looking for you. And behind all of that has to be the belief that you are the best solution for that client's problem. And if you are, we say you have a moral and an ethical obligation to make sure that they can find you, right? This is why we get good at marketing, right? Is because everybody has the horror story of the case that we've taken over from the mega advertising firm that the client found because they just showed up first. And everybody who you can who you can prevent from falling into the hands of a bad lawyer who doesn't care, who you're just a file in the office, you need to learn marketing so that you can do that.
I agree. And the Google Business Profile definitely needs to be looked at and maximized as much as possible. I agree. This has been a great conversation. Where can people reach you? I guess that's the first thing. And where can we talk about or learn more about the coaching program as well?
Yeah. So I'm most active on LinkedIn. I think that's how you and I connected. Every other social media, the handle is @VBrianGlass. And then, I think the best, so Ben and I have a book too. I forgot about this. I was behind.
All right.
So Ben and I just rewrote the 2nd edition of Renegade Lawyer Marketing. That's available on Amazon. It's also going to be available as soon as we get a new stash of books into the office on the GLM website. So that's a good entry point. And we make the notes from our summit available for free to everybody who wants them. You can grab those at glmsummitnotes.com. All you have to do is trade me an email address.
Oh, fantastic. That'd be excellent. All right, great. Well, this has been wonderful. Is there any specific takeaway that you want the people listening to have taken away from our conversation today?
Don't follow everybody else's path. Figure out the one that you actually care about achieving.
Fantastic. I love that. Brian, thank you so much for your time today. This has been a great conversation, and we'll make sure that all your links are in the show notes so people can reach you and get in touch with you and get your book.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining me today for this episode. As we wrap up, I'd love for you to do 2 things. First, subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss an episode. And if you find value here, I'd love it if you would rate it and review it. That really does make a difference in helping other people to discover this podcast. Second, you can connect with me on LinkedIn to keep up with what I'm currently learning and thinking about. And if you're ready to take the next step with a digital strategist to help you grow your law firm, I'd be honored to help you. Just go to lawmarketingzone.com to book a call with me. Stay tuned for our next episode next week. Until then, as always, thanks for listening to Leadership in Law Podcast, and be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss the next episode.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Leadership in Law Podcast. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. There's a whole community of law firm owners out there facing similar challenges and striving for the same success. Head over to our website at lawmarketingzone.com. From there, connect with other listeners, access valuable resources, and stay up to date on the latest episodes. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Until next time, keep leading with vision and keep growing your firm.